Welcome to my first vegetable garden. Today I'm going to show you how to stake, lightly prune peppers, and also mulch and give them a feeding. And I just finished my tomatoes right next to it, my cherry tomatoes, and it's very similar. However, with peppers, you are not going to prune out suckers. In Maryland Zone 7 and in similar zones, you really want all the growth of the pepper to happen. I've done videos where I've topped a pepper off, and I'll put a link in there if I can find it, just so you can see how I do that. But I usually do that when it's in the cups. The pruning that I'm going to do for this video is really kind of stripping about the bottom 2 or 3 inches of the plant, just to make a little gap between the mulch that we're going to put down in the plant. We're going to stake the peppers to these posts here. Peppers are fragile, so if the yield gets heavy or a wind comes and the plant isn't really secure, they actually break. So that's why you stake them. And again, we're not going to prune out suckers. Peppers don't really have suckers. We're not going to do pruning. In my zone, again, a frost comes and kills off the peppers, so I want as much growth and as many peppers as I can possibly get. If you're in a zone where peppers grow through the year and come back year after year, the pruning is a little bit different. But let's get to the pruning and to the staking. So it's pretty straightforward for the pepper. You can see lots of new growth coming in the joints. And like a tomato plant, we may remove some of these, but in a pepper, again, in Maryland Zone 7, where you have the start of the season and then the frost comes and kills off your peppers, you just want everything to grow. You can lightly prune it as the season's going on if you want, but that's not crucial. All I do for pepper really is remove the leaves from the bottom 2, 3, 4 inches, and that's it. Everything else is left to grow, except for the occasional pruning as needed. You're going to tie it right to the stake, leaving a nice gap. And pruning is staking is really essential because the weight of the peppers can actually snap off the branches. And you want to tie these a little bit differently. So I've tied the main stem to the pole, to the stake. I'm going to tie this side shoot right here to the pole too. It's a little bit of excess on the twine, and that's perfectly fine. Maybe a little bit bigger, but it'll be okay. And you also have to tie this one off too. And again, the reason you're doing it just a little bit differently for peppers, and actually if you wrap the string around once like this, it secures it to the stake so it doesn't slide. We're going to support this stem here. And the reason you do that is because they are fragile and they will break. So now we've supported the main stem, this branch here, and this branch here. And that's more how you want to do peppers. So as they get bigger, you want to make sure each of the main branches are supported in some way. I'm going to do that for the rest of them, and then we'll get to the mulching. So they've all been staked, and I just want to tell you what I'm growing. The first 2 right here in the front are sweet bananas, and banana peppers do grow much more quickly than a lot of the peppers. Back there are the California Wonder or the Wonder Bell, and you can see that they're smaller. And where I have 2 stakes, I'm actually trying an experiment this year. I'll do a video on it. But I'm growing 2 peppers in a space like that, and they will require 2 stakes. And what I read is that 2 pepper plants will do perfectly fine, so I'll get a greater yield in the same amount of space. So they've all been staked. That's a Cubanelle, another sweet pepper. This one is a Cubanelle right here. They tend to grow quickly also. And in the back are the Cornito peppers from All America Selections, and there's 3 of them there. And just one more in a container of 2 are my jalapenos, and they're growing up there too. And again, 2 more stakes to support the 2 plants that are being planted in what I would normally plant just 1 pepper. But this will be a great start for these peppers. When they get to, I don't know, maybe 8 to 12 inches tall, you want to get them staked because they do break easily. So we're going to get to feeding and mulching, and we'll be done with setting these peppers up for really the next couple of weeks. So before I put the mulch down, I'm going to put down a 5-5-5 or so organic fertilizer. Just try and stay around that number. You don't need much more. But I just take about a tablespoon, and in the space just like this, just lightly scattered around. Put some into the containers if you're growing in containers. And these containers do have the bottoms cut out so that the root system can get down. And then another tablespoon will just go on the other side. Don't overdo it. Just a light scattering of the organic fertilizer, and that will be a nice little feed for the pepper plants. So if you just watched my tomato video, you saw what I like to use. Shredded hardwood. It's nice and fibrous. It breaks down really quickly, so if you start using it in the spring, come next spring, it's really broken down and ready to be mixed into your soil. But I'm just going to put about an inch down across here, show you what that looks like. And the shredded hardwood. You can just see all this surface area. It makes a great mulch, and again, mulch is going to keep the weeds down, keep the water in the soil, and help create a disease splash barrier. So the peppers have been lightly pruned, staked, and I mulched the area. We put down the organic fertilizer under the mulch. That's insoluble, which means that it's going to take time for soil biology to break that down and make the N, P, and K, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium available to the plant. So we're also going to give it some fish emulsion, which is a water-soluble fertilizer, and the N, P, and K is soluble, and it's immediately available to the plant. You don't have to use fish emulsion if you can't find it. You can use chemical fertilizers. They're perfectly safe. They're not going to hurt you, your plant, or your soil, especially if you're putting in compost and other organic matter. Using a chemical fertilizer in your home garden is perfectly safe and okay. It's not going to kill out your soil life. If you overuse it and abuse it, it certainly can do that. This is how I put on the fish emulsion. Just give it a good soaking right over the leaves. If you are going to use the chemical fertilizers, use it at about quarter strength. You just don't need all that nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. You can save yourself some money by just going at about a quarter strength. So just give the plants a nice drink, water them in, and this is all I'm going to do until these are really up and producing. They're not going to need any more fertilizer, but you want to get them staked early so that they don't break. Support them, give them some feed, and your plants will do really, really well. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please check out my blog at www.therustedgarden.blogspot.com. Thanks.